Hello and welcome to the LTA
And we're
report
live.
episode 2. Hello and welcome to the LTA
Oh, I can hear
report
myself.
episode
Oops.
2. Okay, there we go. Much better. Yeah, I'm Cloud, and as always, I'm joined by our Marn.
Hello, hello.
And today we got a lot of news that came out between last episode and this episode. We have pretty much a whole new season with a bunch of different updates and whatnot. So I think the most important thing is, what are our teams going to actually be positively affected by what's going on? I think so, but we can go into a little bit more detail. If you didn't know, I'm a Shopify fan. He's a Cloud9 fan. I know, but it's unfortunate. How you doing, Marn?
I'm doing good. It's finally nice to have like all the C9 announcements come out day by day, and the contract extension stuff is interesting. I don't think it matters too much because C9 often do just sell their players straight up. But at least I feel like it's going to have some sell-on value.
Yeah, I did notice that for C9, they extended contracts at different lengths. So it wasn't like everyone got a 2-year extension or everyone got a 3-year extension. It was more like, hey, a couple people got like to 2027, and then some other, like, I think Vulcan was just to 2026, and
Hmm.
Thanatos was not Thanatos. What's their coach? Reaper was to 2025. So they have like different lengths of extensions, which I mean it's part of negotiations and whatnot.
Yeah, I think it's kind of telling where the future may lie, where they value each player, each staff member, etc.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, just a quick summary of what the updates were for season 2025, in case you've been living under a rock. Uh, there are a few key differences. One, we're going to have like a Noxus themed map. And so you're going to be seeing the map look different. I think the last time we had a map skin was the winter themed one, like 6 years ago now, something crazy
Dude,
like that.
I've been asking for that every single year. Please, please bring back the Christmas map.
Yeah,
Because I just love the vibes, blasting Christmas music on Spotify, playing the Christmas map. These
exactly.
good
It
times.
was a lot of fun. And the minions were like really cute. I remember just in their like little Christmas themed
Yes, because they had
skins.
the puffy
Yeah,
hoods
yeah.
and
The
jackets.
caster minions, and the cannon was like hilarious. The cannon was like throwing snowballs at you or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to three different map skins per year. I hope they're doing three different map skins per year. My assumption is that they are. So that's one thing that doesn't really affect. Oh, that doesn't really affect gameplay much. But what does affect gameplay is Nexus towers are going to respawn now. So backdooring is going to be a lot harder. So if you troll and don't end the game because you fountain dive, and then the enemy team like within 5 minutes, I'm assuming, is going to have Nexus towers again. So you can't just end the game, and it's less of a guaranteed win, but I think I would say it's a better quality of life update, because sometimes you do start coming back and your inhibitors are respawned, and then it's an Oriana with like 600 AP and she two shots your inhibitor, and then she just ends the game, and it's not very fun. So I can see the reason behind that. They also added what I'm really excited for: feats of strength. So the early game is just very very different. They added grubs because they were like, look, if you get 6 grubs, if you lose the early game and lose 6 grubs, you should automatically pretty much lose the game. You lose every single side lane, lose every single tower. It should be really easy to end the game. And it didn't happen that way. And we still had teams just stalling or trading grubs. Lane swaps happened up to 5 minutes. Sometimes the lane swap would happen after 5 minutes. It didn't necessarily have the effect that Riot wanted completely, especially with lane swaps becoming a thing. And so what they did was they were like, okay, we're going to add even more early game stuff that pretty much completely destroys lane swap, in my estimation. I don't know, maybe you'll disagree, but they had these things called feats of strength, and I think this is only for Noxus split, so it might only be the first third of the year. But basically, what it is there's a little mini game that happens in the early game where the first person to 2 out of 3 gets a buff, a permanent buff. And the three things are epic monsters, So if you slay a dragon or grubs, all three grubs or herald, and then if you get first blood, and then most importantly, if you get first tower. So if you're lane swapping, if you initiate lane swap, you usually lose your tower first, but in result, your top laner might get ahead. Like there's trade offs, but now the trade off is just too big. Losing your tower first is just a disaster because that means if you lose first blood, if you lose a single objective, and a lot of times you're trading objectives when you're lane swapping, so you're already going to lose first tower. You're probably losing dragon because everybody's top side. You've automatically lost the feats, and the feats are like kind of OP that they had to nerf them as soon as even before they came out. The first thing they do is they upgrade your boots, so everybody's boots just get like whether 5 armor or 5 MR, like some passive mood speed. It's like a meaningful buff. It's not enough to end the game, but what it does give you access to is tier 3 boots, which, if you remember, if you were playing since 2014, we used to have those. I think they got rid of them in 2016. But this time, what it is, it's like for your M pen boots, they give you like percent magic penetration. I think it's like 10%, which is crazy. It's not flat, it's percentage, which really only one item has or two items have access. Now your boots, you pay 750 gold, you get 10% magic pen, including the 19 flat pen already. That, I mean, you're just one-shotting people at that point. You have to have 2 legendaries done to begin with, but once you finish your 2 core items, you can get these boots for your ninja tabbies or stated steeled. What is it called? Your plated steel caps. There we go. Your armor boots. It gives you a shield. It was 5 seconds every 10 seconds. Shield to 10% of your health, max health. Now it's every 12 seconds, you get a 4-second shield for 10% of your health. Same thing, but it's only a physical shield. Same thing for the M pen boots, for the magic resist boots. You get the same thing, but obviously for MR, for magic shield. I don't remember all the other boots. I think those were the 3 that I was looking at. I'm like, oh my god, this is just crazy. No wonder they nerfed it as soon as it came out, or even before it came out. So yeah, I feel like with that added buff to the early game, it just makes it so that you really don't want to lose 2 objectives early, which means you're going to be fighting more early, which means you're not going to lane swap and avoid fighting. So it's going to change League of Legends a lot. I like these kind of changes. I don't actually like when you change, like, all the items all of a sudden are changed, or the way jungle XP changes every 2-3 weeks. The reason I stopped playing jungle, I like playing every single champion in the game. There are very few champions that I just like avoid playing. I just like playing champions, not necessarily roles. So back in 2015, I was actually a jungle main. I was having so much fun playing Rengar, Elise, Zac. I had so much fun playing these champions. I think the Blob Zac, the Majin Buu Zac had just came out, and I was spamming that. So no, sorry, Pool Party Zac had just came out, so I was spamming that as well. And it just every few months, the jungle just kept changing. So I'll play all the other roles, but I won't play jungle anymore, just because it just changes all the time. So I like it when they make more systemic changes. They're also adding another boss, Atakan. We can talk more about that later, but I do want to get your thoughts, Marn, on how this next season is like going to affect the league, in your opinion.
Well, the very first thing because I was late to the announcement that day, just because I was quite busy, and the very first tweet I saw was they're reverting the tower playing to 50%, and I thought, oh, here we go again, another year of lane swaps. But actually reviewing all of the changes they've made, okay, the lane swaps should be done, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, there's too much in the early game.
It's such a big benefit for pro play because, it was a fear going into Worlds. We saw it a bit. It kind of faded out, but it wasn't as heavy as I thought it was going to be. But I think these changes they're definitely going to lower the teams are looking to do lane swaps. There will be one that is somehow able to get early control, fight on the side that they're lane swapping, so they get Atakan on the strong side, and they get the Noxus. Is it Noxus boots?
I don't know what they're called, but they're your feats of strength is like the little mini game. That's what it's called.
I'm looking forward to the day where I have to write about like a team has been able to like get everything. My only like thing is how frequent Barons will be, like since they are reverting it back to 25 minutes. Like with such like emphasis now on early games, is the Baron going to be like a that's just to secure the win?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how changing Baron will affect. I don't think it'll affect much, just because most Barons, unless you're T1, you're not getting it at 20 minutes. You're probably getting it around the 24, 25-minute mark. And they already gave you an objective to fight for before, like at 20 minutes. So I'm not entirely sure it'll like be very different. I just don't think Atakan is the like is it's not such a big buff like Baron, which means you're not necessarily worried about like losing the game even if you lose that buff. I think it's more OP than a dragon, maybe less influential than a soul, but also less
I
influential than
definitely
Baron.
think the GA is not as bad as I think some people are making out because I
So it's
think
not
they're
a
comparing it
GA.
to the Ket. I thought they one so they get like a one of the Atacans is a the team gets like a GA effect.
So they misspoke. It's not actually a GA, it's an Akshan passive, which means you die and you respawn in the fountain. So if it was a GA and
Okay.
3.5 seconds later, you just respawn all of a sudden, that I think was taken out of the game with Chemtech Soul for a very good reason.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking because
Yeah.
that was gone very quickly.
Yeah.
I
So
think it was
it's
like the second week of LCS because I remember specifically a C9 game where we got wiped, but because we secured Chemtech Soul, we wiped them because
yeah.
we just survived.
Yeah, so I think my understanding is that they just misspoke and it's actually Akshan passive. So you will just immediately revive full HP, full everything in your fountain. So if you're doing a base defense and you happen to have that, that'll be great. But unless you have TPs, which are a lot slower now, it probably won't affect. It'll save the map state and maybe make it so that you don't lose as much, but it won't mean that you can like win the team fight when you already weren't going to win it, because normally Akshan passive doesn't like win you a team fight. It might just prevent the enemy team from getting a Baron or something like that.
Did they say the respawn timer on the regenerating Nexus turrets now?
I'm assuming it's 5 minutes because that's what everything has always been. Like inhibs have always been 5 minutes.
I
So.
don't think it will be that big of a deal. I think the I think what they're trying to like tackle is where a team is just hunkered down in their base for like
Yeah.
20 minutes. So you've had those games where you've been able to farm up to full literally just because you're sitting in your base for 20 minutes. I don't know how much of a like, difference they're going to make.
I think, like I said, I think it's a quality of life change. It's not necessarily like gonna affect. I think it might affect one in every 50 games. So like maybe 2% of games, it'll actually have a meaningful impact. But I don't think it's the type of thing where it's like, man, I remember the days when you didn't have,
Yeah,
Nexus.
absolutely.
Yeah. Um, the other thing, before we actually talk about which teams we think will benefit, which I think we might actually agree on, I very much dislike adding mini games and so many different things to the game when you have a horrible, horrible intro to League of Legends experience. And I saw a tweet by a developer for my games. I don't remember exactly who, but they were saying, "Hey, we realize there's so many frustrations. Tell us every single thing that you guys don't like because we're trying to make like a beginner friendly mode so you can bring your new friends and they're not completely overwhelmed by what." Okay, they literally pressed O by accident because they were trying to open the shop with P because P is for shop, right? And then you open up the menu and all of a sudden you see like 7 different objectives, 3 of them on the bottom, 4 of them up top, different timers for all. It's so confusing and you don't know what each one does. And there are different types of barons, there are different types of dragons, there are different types of atakans, there's like do you get 3 heralds, do you get 6 heralds, do you get the grubs, do you get the herald, do you get the baron? It's so much that it's not great for beginners. And I understand they're trying to make Swift play, which doesn't have everything and has more of a speedy like way. I just wish they would give beginners a mode where you only have dragons and barons. and maybe one
Yeah, like
herald, and just
old school
yeah,
league.
just very simple. Like dragons don't give that big of a buff, and just let people learn the game, learn the jungle, learn how to play the champions that they want. Let beginners be beginners, and then slowly introduce all these other aspects. Have a tutorial for what Atakan is. Have a tutorial for what grubs are. Have a tutorial like a link that you can press, like more information. It takes you to a YouTube video of maybe not even you, maybe a different creator who just explains. Maybe Vandrel has like videos that explain these things, or you can do your own video or whatever. Just make the beginner experience better, because I've brought a lot of people to play League of Legends, and guess what? They just don't stay around because they only play when I play. Like I have so many friends that have played League, only play when I play because they cannot. The game is too overwhelming. There's just too many champions. They don't remember what every champion does, and they don't have, when they're playing by themselves, they don't have someone being like, okay, be careful. This champion is like a long range, like when they're playing against Xerath. Like this champion will nuke you from very far away. So you like be always cognizant of where Xerath is. Or, the reason you can't kill this guy is because the support is actually Soraka, and Soraka's just constantly healing them. That's where the heals are coming from. Like they don't understand that because there's so many champions. So I would love for a game mode with a simpler League of Legends with limited champion pool. You do that, so I'll give an example. Dungeons and Dragons has an idle game. For you, those who don't know what idle game, it's a game that you kind of leave open and you only like interact with it every couple hours. So if you're working and you have it on your phone or something, on a tablet, you can play the game, set up like a specific farm that you want, and then just like finish work or go out to the gym, come back from the gym, do some edits. Anyways, it's an idle game, and it actually has like a very limited. It has a story that before you play the story, you're not able to play the rest of the game. So there's like there are multiple different maps. So it's kind of like Dungeons and Dragons. You can travel to different parts of the world and whatnot. It has like a bunch of champions from Dungeons and Dragons and people who played Baldur's Gate 3. There are a lot of heroes from Baldur's Gate. Actually, they have anyways, they have like a beginner's map, and with the beginner's map comes a lot of limitations. And slowly you're able to understand these different things. By the time you're done with this beginner map, it might take you like 2-3 weeks to finish this beginner map. By the time you finish, you can start getting introduced to newer champions, newer heroes as they call them, and newer like builds, and they have like these cores that you have that have different, like a speed core and a strength core. There's all these like complicated things that come later, so you're not overwhelmed all at once. League of Legends beginner introduction is like 90% all at once. The only thing they limit is champion, and not because you can't play them, but because you don't have them. But someone could just purchase them and start playing them, and you're playing against pros. It's just a horrible experience. Not pros, sorry, but like Smurfs. So that's my one thing I was hoping to see in 2025, so that I could get more players to play. I actually made a whole video after Arcane finished, being like, "Hey, Arcane's done. What now?" And it was like, "Come play League of Legends, but don't you dare try to play the game alone. Come to the LTA Discord, pin me or someone else, go into the looking for game and try to get a friend to play, because otherwise you're not going to enjoy the experience." And actually, most people that commented were like, either yes, I completely agree, or no, just don't, it's not even worth it. Don't even try to play the game.
Do you think League is entering into its Dota arc for new players?
Oh, it's been. I think it's been for a while.
I think the biggest problem, well, not the biggest problem, but again, there's no emphasis to play with friends in this game. There's like no voice comms for like I assume it's because they want to integrate with a new client. That's why it's not been added.
I mean, Valorant has that within the client, and they actively said, we want it for Valorant because it's amazing, and we don't want it for League of Legends because it would be the worst thing ever.
Ugh. Like there's no emphasis to play friends. Like I really wanted Premiere for next year. Like just from doing that on Valorant with friends, it's such an
What is
addictive
Premiere?
way
I have
of.
no idea what that is. I
So
don't play
Premiere is
Val.
like a tournament. It's like a tournament mode for Valorant. So you and your friends make a team, and then each week you play a team that's in your league because you're seeded based on like the average rank.
So it's like Clash, but a little more involved.
It's Clash, but it's pretty much.
Okay.
It's organized. You have like a week. You have a league that runs for about 6 or 7 weeks, and at the end of it, the top. Or it's no, sorry. You get points for each like game, even if you lose. So you need like a certain amount of points to qualify for playoffs. Like even if you lose, I think you only need like 1 to 2 wins across like the entire thing to qualify for playoffs. And then like you're seeded based on like how you like, finish in the regular season, and then yeah, it's like a single elimination bracket. And then like if you win, you get promoted to the next league
Hmm.
for the next season.
Okay, I have a complaint then, considering what you said, and maybe during this time while I'm complaining, because I might go for a little bit. Could you tweet out that we're live? And I'll retweet that.
I will do that right now.
I forgot to do that. Why? Okay, I watch a lot of Valorant. I actually watch Game Changers. I watch streamers like pretty consistently. Like I'll watch Valorant streams that just pop up on my TikTok. Sometimes even on Twitch. Why has Riot Games not marketed Valorant to me? Why is it that when I'm on TikTok, when I'm on Facebook, I'm seeing all these other games, I'm seeing all these other products, I'm seeing all these other things, but the one thing I don't see is League of Legends, Valorant. Like I don't see this stuff. You make a new season, and the idea is like, hey, we're going to get more players because we have this really cool thing coming. We have Mbessa, we have all these like stuff, and yet I don't see any budget. I don't see forget budget. I don't see any organic like okay, I do see a little bit on the League of Legends page. I won't say I don't see any organic. I do see League of Legends like post specific things, and then those tweets, those shorts do well. Those TikToks do well. Take those, put some media spend behind it. You know what your target demographic is. You know who you want to play the game. Go put that money. I don't play Valorant, but I interact with it a lot. You know what could probably get me to play the game? I don't know. Maybe if you sold it to me. I'm pretty sure I'd probably play the game. I already have it installed. It's just it makes no sense to me. They
Mm.
why there's this whole premiere thing. If I knew about it, I probably would make a team with a couple of my friends who play Val.
And do you know what's like even insane? Like it's literally a path to pro. If you're in like one of the highest divisions, you qualify for Challengers League, which would be NACL.
Oh
So like you
snap!
can qualify strictly through. Like let's say me and you wanted to make a team, we could climb the ranks and eventually qualify for pro play, like the tier 2 scene. Like literally just 5 people in their bedroom, and that's just something so missing in League because like I don't know how it is on the NA side. On EU, Clash is a piece of garbage. Like it hardly works.
Really?
Like I find like problems with Clash all the time. I haven't played Clash in like a long time just because I see so many people complaining like
Oh,
about like, the
interesting.
problems with Clash.
I don't play Clash because it happens during LCS normally, so I just don't get a chance to play. Because it happens on the weekends for us. I'm not sure like what time it happens for y'all, but it happens during the weekends when I'm like waiting for interviews for LCS, and so it's just like I can never really play it. And by that time, I'm like
Yeah, like
exhausted.
ours is like middle of the week as well, and like me and my friends like all have like full-time jobs, so it's really hard to like
Yeah,
get on to or like to convince people to like come home immediately to play League.
yeah. But specifically Premiere, that's like something that I would actually be okay playing with a few of my friends. I'm not necessarily into shooters. I don't really play shooters, but I do find Valorant interesting, especially because I'm watching like Shopify's team. Like we're back to back world champions, and we've won like so much in Game Changers. And I was like, okay, like this seems interesting. And I used to teach, so I had a couple students who were like, oh, like we want you to play with us. So I'd actually play with them, and after a while, they're like, okay, we don't really want you to play with us. You're a little too bad for this, boomer. And I'm like, okay, kids. Uh, anyways, um, it's like if this was marketed to me, I'm pretty sure I just contacted some of my friends who play and just play specifically Premiere, and that might get me to play the game. But it never was. I had to hear it on an LTA podcast. Like, why? Why are you letting us do the work instead of you when you have the budget, you have the resources, and like it's your game to lose? But anyways, that's my little rant.
This is where I wish I had David on for this because he absolutely has been asking for this ever since the release of Premiere. Like
Who?
Mr. Shynock, the
Oh, David.
100 piece
Yeah,
fan. Yeah,
yeah.
like
I don't understand it, man. I don't. I really don't.
like could you imagine like even for like ERLs like you win like you win one of the highest Premier tournaments in League and then you get to participate in the like directly in the ERLs or like you can do a giant premier tournament where like the winners of each of the higher leagues get to compete per be one like in one of the EU Masters qualifiers or something like something to
Yeah.
incentivize like you can get to that highest spot.
Yeah, and even like for me, I would never even like dream of something like that because like I don't even play the game. It's just a really cool way to bond with friends over like a couple. I might even invite some guys over and get our setups and just like do an all nighter and maybe watch a movie and play some like it feels like one of those things that could be an activity that actually gets people to play the game, and you already have it. Just let people know about it. But anyways, I digress. This is an LTA podcast, and we got a lot of LTA to talk about. So I'll
Mhm,
open the
mhm.
floor to you. Which team do you think these changes will benefit going into 2025?
I'm going to leave my team out of it just because I want you to talk about my team rather than me just straight up being biased.
Fair enough.
I actually think Shopify could be a bit interesting with it, just
Shopify,
because,
interesting.
well, just because I know like contracts are going to want to go balls to the wall, and like I'm not gonna trust him to have a good early game, but I know like based on like watching him for years that he's gonna want to be aggressive, and I think Shopify may be one of those teams that may struggle a little bit when behind. Well, maybe it's because I still don't trust Palafox. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not a hater, but it's like if you're not ahead, I don't see where you win because I just think you'll have such an anchor. After watching and speaking to people about sales, I'm a little bit more hyped for your team.
Okay, well, that means I did a good job at hyping someone up for Seus. Actually, funny story. I was on Raz's stream, and he was like, "Man, I don't even know why they picked up Seiyu. Like, this team's not going to be great." And I was like, "Dude, it's Seiyus, not Seiyu, which is I'm pretty sure is an 80 carry and very different." He was like, "Oh my god, wait!" And then he was like, "Yeah, sorry, I was confused." And like in his head, I could tell he still meant the other player. And I was like, "No, no, no, no. You've talked about this guy before at MSI, at Worlds and Play-ins, praising him. He's a support of Loud who won 3 splits in a row." And he was like, wait, what? And then he looks him up. He's like, oh my God, I knew the name sounded familiar, but I just thought it was Seo. I was like, yeah, I could tell in your head you were still thinking of that other player. No, this is a different player. He was like, oh, okay. In that case, the Shopify team makes a little more sense. So I know a lot of people are like confusing or have no idea who he is, but that's on me and Shopify to kind of tell his story and let people know, like, look, no. Well, they haven't announced this. They haven't had an opportunity to say anything, but it's on us to kind of say, hey, look, there's a reason you should be excited for this, especially this bot lane. It's pretty much like the two top teams, Pain and Loud, historically in Brazil. We took their AD carry and then we took their support. Like, we got a pretty good deal. But yeah, I'm excited for our team. I actually don't know if our team benefits that much. Um, but I do think the one team that does benefit is Cloud9 because they're a really good early game team with Blabber. And I think just give them more advantage and make it harder for them to throw, and it should be good. Macro is going to get a
Well, I
little
mean, you're
bit.
giving them more. You're giving them more opportunities to throw, though.
They
To
throw
play.
late game though, and Baron is like a 25 minutes, so you don't have to worry about that
Well, we
for
don't.
5 extra minutes.
We don't know when, quote unquote, the late game will be this upcoming season.
I'm assuming 25 minutes.
Is that late though?
I mean, okay, 30 minutes. I don't know. Like, I just the
Dude,
reason
if
I
we if
think.
we were if
Oh, the 1 second. The audio just disconnected. That's quite unusual. Uh, 1 second here. Hmm. Well then, I don't know what happened. Hello, hello.
hello hello.
Okay, you're back. Yeah, I have no idea what just happened. My computer decided it didn't
Okay,
like
good. 'Cause
audio
I
as
was
a
worried if I had
input.
to start rambling by myself. Then I'd have no things to talk about.
No, I was saying that like the reason I think Cloud9 are going to do quite well is they actually, in general, do quite well in like early game skirmishes and finding early game leads. I think Blabber is quite smart when it comes to like jungle pathing and what he does, especially in the early game. And you can tell that he's not as comfortable in the mid to late game. And I think you just give him less opportunity to, or more advantages that even if he makes the wrong mistake, it doesn't affect as much. So that's what I'm hoping for Cloud9 is that we have like a really strong pushing bot lane with Sven and Vulcan. Like 2020 Sven and Vulcan should be back. Hopefully, everybody's just going to play around Blabber, and Blabber's going to play his Olaf. He's going to play his like OP champions that he's known for. He doesn't have to play like,
There's no
these
mid lane, please.
he doesn't have to play the brand. He doesn't have to play the Zyra. He can play what he wants to play. He can play his Kindred, like, and just like really go after these objectives. And hopefully that will like streamline Cloud9's process. It'll make them like predictable. But over the year, I'm hoping they improve and like add things to the repertoire. But as their like current style of like, hey, let's just say you have zero experience, this is what I expect. So I do expect these things to actually be beneficial to them. The team I think it's going to hurt actually is FlyQuest. So initially I had FlyQuest over Team Liquid, but now I think it's actually a little bit closer. And the reason I think is FlyQuest is a hey, we're going to reduce as much as possible the variables because we have some heavy variables in Bwipo and previously Busio. Like we're going to make it so that it's a low variable game. We're going to get our items, we're going to find our power spikes, and we're going to pick the exact spots that we know we're stronger than you despite being 4 or 5k down. It's because the way our champions interact, we're very good at that. So they have this like expertise at not necessarily going down early, but finding the right moments of when their champions are online. They usually play champions that require a couple items before they go online. Like historically with Bwipo, he waits until he gets his third item on Renekton. With, if they're playing the Ezreal, you want 3 items on her, or at least the core 2 items and the transformation on the Muramana. If you're playing Cassiopeia, you want a few more items. If you're playing Orion, like champions, especially with like Lilia and Brand, Brand not so much, but they want to play the Ivern. He's going to get his 3 items super early compared to other champions. You want to get your items and then fight. And like 2025 is all about fighting before you can even think about fighting. So you're going to be wanting, the objectives basically start since minute 1. Like, are you going to get first tower? Are you going to get first blood? Are you going to get the first like dragon once it spawns, the first heralds, grubs, that kind of thing. And I think that does nerf their style a little bit because they kind of want to not throw the game completely before they have their items because they're going to outdraft you. So that's why I say.
What was the third thing for the boots? Is it first blood, first tower, and is it?
And first 3 objectives. So dragon counts as an objective, major objective. Dragon, herald counts as 1, and grubs count as 3. Grubs count as 1. So I think you have to get 3, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe 2. No, maybe it's just 1. I think it's just 1. Yeah, I think it's just major objective. So 3 grubs are 1 major objective. I think I'm just confusing the grubs being added.
I think in comparison to TL, I think like across the board between like first dragon, first tower, first blood, it definitely favors like TL more, like early on. To like if we were going into an early like matchup, like second round matchup between these two, I probably do like favor TL slightly, just because like I think they had a more structured early game than like the rest of the league. I think they're just so efficient at like the style they had.
Yeah, I do think it'll benefit TL.
Like their first 3 towers was 88%, which is absolutely nuts.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Like, they had the second highest first blood behind C9. They had the best first tower percentage, 71%. And the second highest first dragon. Dude, I am sold on your take on C9. Just like their early game stats across the board are pretty insane.
Yeah, I do think it's going to be a buff to Cloud9. And Team Liquid and a nerf to FlyQuest. And so like now my tentative power ranking is like Team Liquid 1, FlyQuest 2, Cloud9 3. I think it's like pretty clear top 3. Then that 4th spot you get between 100 Thieves and Shopify. I think 100 Thieves are the defending sort of 3rd spot, so they should get that honor of being 4th. And then Shopify can have to prove that, hey, Palafox can actually play Contract's actually really good in the early game. So I'm not really worried about like, I don't think it's a buff or a nerf to Shopify. We just never played together. Whereas these other 4 rosters pretty much have played together Cloud9 probably the least, but I mean they've played with Sven before, and they just
Well,
have a new
I
mid
think it
laner.
depends on like Fudge really, because I think he's going to be able to help you secure grubs like a lot of the time outside of Impact and Purple. Maybe Thanatos, depending on like how much he gets camped. Because I still expect like Thanatos to be on like the Gnar Cassandra, because that's all he's been spamming in Korean solo queue is just
He's been playing a
Gnar
lot on
Cassandra.
Bessa, hasn't he?
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of talk that she may be like coming out of the top lane by the time pro play actually hits. Dude, Thanatos is hilarious. He has a account specifically for ARAM.
Dang.
Because when I like searched in his name, I was like, wait, actually, no, sorry, I think that's no Loki actually. Because when I was like googling his OPGG, I was like, wait, why is it only ARAM? And then until I realized, like a minute later, it's an ARAM only.
I mean, so I understand that because it was a lot more useful in the past when you had less characters. Now there's like they give you specific ARAM characters. But I used to have an account that I don't even know what it is anymore, but I would only play Nar on that account, and it was actually called for
Dude, I'm
Narnia.
the exact same. I have a Caitlyn only account.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
so
touch Caitlyn on my main.
I bought Nar and I just go to ARAM and try to snipe Nar because the pool of champions that I could get was very limited.
Mm-hmm.
So it increased my chances of getting Nar rather than getting it once every 50 games. I'd get it once every, like 10, 15 games, which I just wanted to play Nar and ARAM because there was like Toro King. I don't know if you remember, and you could actually pick your champion. So I just spam Nar and I was like, I just want to keep playing Nar because it's so much fun in
Mm.
ARAM. Yeah. Okay, so I chat. Someone clarified what exactly the requirements for strength of feats of strength. It's first blood. It's one of three. You need two of three. So the things that qualify are three objectives. So you can get Drake Herald and three grubs because every three grubs count as one objective. Or you can get six grubs and one Drake. That'll count as three as well. And then first blood and first tower. So you need two out of three of
Okay.
those. Yeah, so you can get like first blood and first tower, and you'll get it, or you can get first blood and three grubs, a Drake and Herald, or whatever combination. But that's how you get it. So early game objectives are like mega important. Oh, sorry, early game tower, first blood are much more important than the objectives. But if you split like first blood and first tower, all of a sudden objectives like mean a lot more than just like, oh, okay, we lost three grubs, it's fine. No, it's like, oh snap, they just get their boots, all their boots have upgraded, and they can spend an extra 750 gold, which for support is very reasonable. Because think about it, for support you can usually go your first two items and then you just add a gold. But if you can save up 750, it's actually by the 25 minutes, it's kind of like you got a third item. An item that gives you a shield every 10 or now 12 seconds, like it's that's not that bad.
Mm.
Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention there's no, or they forgot to mention, but they did tweet it that there's no longer first blood bonus or for tower or first blood
Oh,
kill.
that benefits you because Fudge always freaking gives over first blood. So that's actually benefiting you.
Yeah, I mean
And
you're still
also,
getting
not to
one of
get
the
your hopes
feats,
up, but
so it does
NRG
hurt.
had. Not to get your hopes up, but NRG also had the second highest first blood percentage in playoffs.
Yeah, but
Not
who
to.
did they play against? Like nobody's. So they lost to Digman. Come on.
Yeah, but they had Sven, so they must have been good, right?
Okay, the reason Dignitas won had nothing to do with Sven being good or bad. It had
Yeah,
everything
I
to
know.
do
I was
with
moving. I was moving.
NRG not being able to play League of Legends. So I don't really give Sven credit. Like even after the game, I
No,
think I
no, no,
talked to
no,
him.
no, dude. Neither do I. Neither do I. I was moving. I was moving.
Okay. No, I was just gonna mention like Sven was like, yeah, I don't even know. Like I don't even count that as a win, man. Like I don't know. I know the
Why
feeling.
you never played last split?
Sure,
He.
yeah. You're getting like 2015 OG Neils. That's who you're getting.
Oh, if we're getting Niels, then we found the LCS. LTA, sorry. I can't get used to it. I hate the name. I hate the name.
It'll take a while for sure, but
Even up when you
eventually,
Google it, nothing comes up. At least like here.
well, hopefully we come up. Land Transportation Authority. Never mind, we do not come up.
I get the Lawn Tennis Association.
No, I get Land
And
Transport Authority,
the
and then
recommended LTA Twitter account is the again the Lawn Tennis Association.
okay, that's hilarious. The Lawn Tennis Association. Let me go to Twitter and see what comes up when I type in LTA. LTA. I get LTA South and then LTA North.
Oh, I get the Be a Fan podcast and then LTA North.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I think I've just interacted quite a little bit with CBLOL teams, and that's probably why. But um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, dude, some of that stuff, like CBLOL teams, are so funny. They're so funny, and our teams are like so corporate. And I hope.
Mm-hmm. Uh,
I mean,
is there anything
I
else you got
apparently
on
some.
the LTA?
Sorry, what was that?
Is there anything else you have in the LTA?
I do want to talk about parity actually, because we have the top five teams, which I think will be Cloud9, Team Liquid, FlyQuest in no order, 100 Thieves, Shopify, and then we have teams that are literally going to do nothing. We have Dig, we have DSG, who honestly look like they're going to get relegated, but I hope not. Like, I just hope they continue for a little bit. And then we have Lions. I don't. The available player pool makes me question what is going on. And I want to start with DSG. You brought basically all, like, you're supposed to be a challenger, like NACL team that came up and is supposed to, like, you're supposed to model having some rookies. Like, in reality, what's
Can
his
you
name?
move your mic close
Oh,
to you a little
sorry.
bit?
Yeah.
Because it kind of sounds like half and half there. You're like
Oh,
half in
okay.
crisp, half like echo.
Okay, my bad. In reality, it should really look like you should have Surdy. You're the one who should have Surdy. You're the one who should have, like, more rookies. And I mean, I'm going to Sheep Esports because I don't want to leak anything, because I have heard of what their full roster is going to be. So let me just make sure what Sheep Esports has reported. Um, so they only reported Abadaga and XU. Really? Did they not report everybody else? I thought they did.
I
Um,
thought Castle was also reported.
yeah. So okay,
Was that
I guess I must be missing it. I don't know. It's not showing up to me in, like.
was that stuff for the? I
No,
honestly
yeah,
I'm
they
getting
this guy's yeah. So
Dig and
It's
DSG like
Castle.
mixed up.
Yeah, so they reported Castle, they reported um, XU, they reported Abadage, and they reported Huhi, and they haven't reported their 80 carry. Let's just hypothetically assume it is a rookie. Like, you're putting one rookie with everybody else that's not from NACL, right? None of the I guess
Mm-hmm.
XU technically played in NACL, but he's also had, like, starting time. The idea of this whole thing is like, hey, we're going to, if you do well in NACL, then you get promoted. Only XU did well. Out of all these players, they're all LCS players or Abadaga, who, like, come on, man. I understand at first when it was only Abadaga reported, people were like, oh, he's going to be the leader and you can have 4 rookies. And then they were like, XU. I was like, okay, well, he did deserve it. He played really well on that team. He basically went to game 5. If it wasn't for Marvin, they would have won the Americas tournament. If for those who don't know, that basically Baron was stolen, kind of like how Gumayushi on Varus stole Baron in that game 5 of World's Championship. Like, that's pretty much what happened. And the actual Pain Gaming Academy team beat the Maryville. And then top lane, I mean, Surdy should be the obvious. Maybe you people like Spirax should be considered. Like, there's so many different, like, the AD carries, Sajed. Um, you just, I don't know. It just makes no sense to bring pretty much ex LCS or current LCS pros and be like, hey, this is the team that qualified from NACL. It just, your branding as disguised as being like the people from NACL is dead. it's dead. You literally
I
brought the
think the
only
initial
player from
problem
there.
they had is that they were the seventh place team, so like it wasn't like they was even remotely challenging to get promoted. So like they then had to start from scratch. But
Dude, every single NACL team player is saying yes to Disguise if this guy says, "Come join us." Every single one. I
mm,
guarantee it. There's no way Surdy is like, "Oh, I can either play another year on NACL or play on Disguise." He's like, "No, I'm going to Disguise." Same thing with for like Spyrax, Eugen, all these players like Scary Jerry. I'm pretty sure every single player would just say, "Get me in, coach." Like they would just agree.
mm.
So I don't like
Y-
that. I was hoping we would get at least like three. You can have two. Isn't Sergey on Dig? Yeah, Sergey is on Dig, but like it's just an example. They ended up picking up Castle, who is not a bad player. I'm not saying this is a bad team. I'm just disappointed with you being the NACL team picking up no real NACL. I'm not putting XU as a real NACL because he deserved to play LCS. He just kind of got screwed by his team. Like you putting no real NACL players. Maximum if you bring in an AD carry, it's gonna be one out of five positions. I don't know. It irks me the wrong way.
Do you think their roster would have been different if they were a guaranteed team? I think this is my only like how I'm trying to see like where they're going with this. Because if they were to just say like screw it, let's just do a full NACL team, and like if we get relegated, we get relegated. Like it's fine. I can only like imagine they're just petrified of getting relegated because then you're losing out on that global revenue. And like the only one I don't understand is mid. I don't like I can see where they've picked up these other players. Like Castle, for example, he's actually very respected within like amongst the players. And like I think he's allowed for me at least one more shot.
Uh huh.
Um XU, I'm glad he's got a team after what happened with Dig. Um Huhi, I mean how many options are there? And
Support
like I
is really weak in
guess you
North
can
America. I will say that support is
I
very
guess
weak.
you can kind of say, well, you have the mid jungle mid support synergy from 100 Thieves, but that team fizzled out and they weren't that good in the end.
So
And I never buy into the past synergy thing. I think it's a load of bullshit. Like these teams fizzled out that they're not on these teams for a reason anymore. Like
yeah,
Huhi and Abadagi are not on 100 Thieves because in the end they sucked. Like it fades out. It's not the same team dynamic. It's not the same coaches. Not the same environment. It's not the same like ambition. Like they're not playing to make worlds like 100 Thieves was.
yeah, but I'd say who he probably won out on that split up. He ended up like technically making it to Worlds and making it to MSI, whereas Hundred Thieves like in 2023 did nothing that year. So I wouldn't say it was because they sucked. They did pick up Busio, who like as we can tell was the right pickup. So I'm not
Well,
saying
I
that.
wouldn't say like sucked, but they kind of like fizzled out from their own expectation of they want to win the LCS, and then it was just like repeat 3-0s in grand finals, and then
I mean, who he
like the
won
team
one.
was
Who he won a split. He made it to two finals. He won one of them.
yeah. Was he part of the
Oh no, I'm sorry. He wasn't part of that team. He was part of Golden Guardians. Yeah, yeah. So he only made one of them. He didn't win it.
who was the support
It was Ignar.
previous?
You're talking about
Right.
NRG, right? Yeah, it was Ignar.
No. I'm talking about 100 Thieves
It was
because they had
Busio.
like
They brought in Busio. They brought in Busio Tenacity, then got rid of Tenacity, brought in Summit. They brought in Double Lift and what's it called? Double Lift and
no. I'm
Bjergsen.
talking about like the 2022 like 100 Thieves.
Oh, it was Hui. It was Hui.
Hmm. And I think like they just fell from even though they made like finals that year, they kind of like fell from the peak
Yeah,
that they
they
had in
love the flying
2021.
oysters. I mean, come on, that was disrespectful.
Yeah,
That was
but
disrespectful.
yeah.
But to answer your question, if the goal is, hey, let's never get relegated, sure. But if I'm just guys, I'm a content creator. I understand that this team costs money, and the only way that it's going to pay off is by getting like really good sponsors, I'm going to grow my fan base. And the fact that I'm playing in LTA gives me an opportunity, a year worth of opportunity to grow my fan base. So instead of doing something that completely kills that, which is like my whole branding of like, hey, I really care about NACL. Now all of a sudden, people who were following you because of that don't care about you. And sure, you can like start fresh. I'm not against that, but it feels disingenuous to me
We
because
lost our own opportunity to have like what Ibai has with MDK, just a whole young Spanish roster.
I mean, here's the thing. I think in the future we're gonna get like look, if we got a Mr. Beast team in the past and he came in, it would have done sort of what happened with Ibai and Kameto and whatnot. I'm not gonna say it's unhealthy for the league. I just think you don't need that. And so why don't
And
you, go ahead.
what I mean by that is like a team with that kind of identity, like Ibai has the like Spanish connection, Camaro has the like French Carmen Corp connection. Like we had the opportunity to have like a full young NACL like roster.
Yeah, I don't think it's as meaningful, to be honest, as hey, we're full
Fair
Spanish, hey,
enough.
we're full French. So I actually I don't think people would really care. Like we used to have that Cloud9 roster and they brought in Jensen and people were sad because High left, not because, hey, we're no longer full NA, you know? Like we had Bjergsen for forever and he was pretty much considered NA. Yeah, I don't think it really matters, at least for us.
I think maybe in the past, sure, but I think fans are dying for like that American team that like they just want like there is an obsession with like promoting these like young NECL players, right? And I think like I don't know what route I would have gone. I think probably a mix would have been like I think that's kind of the meta right now. Is like you get two young players that you play around with like a strong core that can guide the players. But I think it would have been not cheap points if you trying to get what I mean. Like I think it would have done well like socially.
I understand what you're
I don't.
saying. I just don't think it matters. So
Yeah,
the reason I think
I
that
agree.
is because the teams don't do a good enough job at keeping those fans and converting them to being like paying fans. Because at the end of the day, you need some sort of monetary result, right? I understand you're a business and you need to function. So I think there's a way where you do both. I just don't think teams are qualified enough to actually convert fandom into something that actually matters or to keep fandom. Like you said, fans are kind of dying and bleeding out, and fans want something. And when teams give them what the fans want, they don't actually fans don't like stick onto that team. As a matter of fact, people were happy with Dignitas giving Tomo and XU a shot, and then when they got rid of them, Dignitas got more fans, despite a lot of vocal fans saying, "Hey, I'm no longer a Dignitas fan." Even the most vocal fans being like, "I'm an Immortals fan now." Like, I screw Dignitas. And at the end of the day, you got in bigger names like Spica, who was streaming and had a following, Jensen, who's had a historic following, and Sven and Licorice, who brought in like fan favorites, and that was probably a better business decision. I understand that, but the only reason XU and Tomo and Isles didn't pan out is because you did a very bad job at actually leveraging their brand and making people into Dignitas fans, and you just rely on the player's brand. When teams actually make brands for themselves, I think then what you're saying makes sense. And it's like, hey, this is something that is socially wanted and desired, and people actually like become fans and will stay fans of Dignitas or Disguised or 100 Thieves because of our identity rather than our players. But our teams just don't do that, so it doesn't matter.
Mm. Like I understand that because my most hated C9 roster was the 2021 roster. Not even because like how it performed. I didn't have that same connection because like I knew deep in my heart Perks was gone after a year. This is a band-aid year for him. Like he wasn't going to stay in North America longer than that year. Like you saw the problems like lingering from 2020. Like they never went away with the bot lane like after that season. And like it just wasn't an enjoyable year, even if we ended up making calls that year.
Yeah. Also, the amount of content that Cloud9 did with perks was abysmal. Like,
Hmm.
I was excited to see perks come join Cloud9, just because I thought that's probably the best place for him, considering he can't be traded to Fnatic, right? So I was like, okay,
Yeah,
that's probably the best place he could end up. I'd much prefer that than him being on, an ERL team. So I was open to the idea. I was excited for Palafox, but hey, I thought they overpaid for perks, and my thought was like, look, unless you get like a huge sponsor, because all of a sudden you have like thousands of people watching your games, and you're like really playing into this perks Sven narrative, like reviving the G2, of old. You're not really going to get your the best bang for your buck, and they kind of didn't. And yeah, I
I
have a
know they
lot of
did a
opinions
lot
on
with
Cloud9.
the. So I know they did a lot with perks with like the Straz like thing because I remember.
Could be that.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, because I remember perks was initially announced on there before they announced it publicly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it wasn't actually meant to. It got leaked on there. They accidentally posted it like well before they should, and I actually messaged Poy saying, "Yo, why is this up?" And he just started like crying out laughing. I was I just didn't enjoy like that team. Like it was frustrating because I saw everything that Puck was about on that team. Like on our day, we beat Damwon, and on the same day we lost to an Australian team. It was like it actually. I remember this because we beat RNG, who was first in at MSI 21. This was during like the group stage. We beat RNG earlier in the day, and then later that day we lost to Pentanet and got knocked out. And it's like that was the duality of that Perks team that I just like hated.
Yeah, I remember that Blabber Crabber MSI. Poor guy, he's gonna be remembered by that forever, but it is what
Dude,
it is.
that year I actually statistically looked, we played down one more than we played CLG in that entire year. I'm more used to how we match up against down one than we did against CLG. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, that's hilarious actually. um, but yeah, I think that branding is a topic that we're gonna talk about a lot because I'm very passionate about it, and I feel like it sucks. I think Dignitas with picking up Rigby and Surdy and Tomo, and then bringing in Keen from the team that kind of bodied 100 Thieves. Like it can be interesting. I'm assuming they still have Speak on Isles. Uh, I think that team can be interesting. I just don't think that Keen will actually be a good mid laner in LCS or LTA. Like he was good for LLA. He made it to the finals in his first split. He won the second split. I just I don't think he's going to be the greatest player. I think Tomo is okay. Tomo Isles, we kind of seen that lane. It's actually a quite good lane. Spica is a huge question mark. He's had a very big downward spiral in his career, whether that's on him or on the teams he's been on, up to be determined. But and Surdy is a big question mark. Like I don't know what to expect from this Dignitas team, but I would assume they would be like the sixth team, and then Lions team. I we literally I don't even see them on Twitter, so I don't even know if I should be excited that this team is in the LCS. Like I can understand Spanish. I don't see them anywhere. I follow Spanish creators. I don't see them retweeting anything that Lion says, so I don't know what to think of this team. Licorice is on there, cool.
I'm intrigued by the solo laners because all the C9 fans wanted. So
Saint,
like in
yeah.
the order of like it was like Zinni, Saint, like Youngin, like Loki was like everyone was like who?
Yeah.
So like
Even CL casters.
I'm intrigued to see Saint just because it was someone we were rumored with. It seems we passed on him. Like I won't speak on that until like the announcement's out. But like it's interesting to see like is this who we could have got, but we like went in a different direction.
Yeah, I guess there is a little bit of excitement in that sense, but I just feel like these bottom three teams, they don't have vocal fans that talk about them. They don't have anything going for them, and they're just like I know Disguised has Disguised. I'm not saying they don't have a vocal like content creator on there. I'm just talking about like specifically the fans. Uh, it's just I don't know what to what
What
to
is their
expect.
fans going to do when they are dashed out of the first split after two best of threes? Like, what are you going to do like then? That's my like biggest intrigue of this, guys. Because I do
Yeah,
predict them to be 2-0 swept out of groups.
yeah. I don't know. Like I can tell you that for Shopify, Team Liquid, FlyQuest, even if we don't make it, some disaster happen, we're still gonna be there talking about it, and I don't know what to expect from the teams in terms of gameplay and in terms of content. And normally when I first start talking, I initially think of the content because I'm a content creator. So I don't know. Someone just said in chat that Lions is on Twitter, but their name is still Movie Star R7. So I'm gonna give them a follow because I really don't see anything that they do. Movie Star R7. It doesn't even show up. What? Oh, okay. There we go. All right.
Oh, Wiki's in chat. Hello.
Oh, I don't know who he is, but
Wiki is one of the mods for the Cloud9 Discord.
oh, okay. Well, you came on the right episode. We were talking very positively about Cloud9. Last episode, I cannot confirm or deny anything like that.
Mild C9 baiting.
Interesting. So Dawn of Raven says that he's excited by Loki because he's a random name. The fact that they didn't go by who is the best name, they actually had a different criteria this time. Um, it feels like they had to see their gameplay. I'm very confused about that because apparently their scout is Vigar V2 and they didn't consult Vigar V2 when getting Loki. And the rumors that they actually wanted Saint, but then they ended up going for Loki, maybe because he was cheaper. Who knows? We might get the full story eventually, but I
I can speak on that once it's announced.
okay.
It'd be
So yeah, come back
very
when.
convenient for C9 to just announce it right now while we're live.
Let me check their. I mean, they did announce like 3 people today or yesterday. So let's look at Cloud9 Lol or Cloud9
Imagine I just
Philippines.
typed in Twitter into the Twitter search bar. No, it's not announced.
No, yeah, the last thing was an arrow. How do you feel about an arrow? Because I saw. Okay, this I was very confused by, but I saw what's his name, Think Hard. I'll pull up the tweet. Think Hard.
Yeah, I was about to reference that tweet.
You saw that too, right?
Yeah.
I was very surprised by that. So basically, ThinkGuard he retweeted and he said, "Jokes aside, this is one of the best decisions an NA team has made this offseason. Excited to see how the team performs with this upgrade, upgrade. I have no idea what is going on.
Um,
Is he
like
actually being
from
serious?
I don't. Well, if you want to play like playing weird, technically it is an upgrade because they didn't have an assistant, right?
Okay,
So,
true. Okay, it's not an upgrade over
so
Mythy. Okay.
technically it's an upgrade if you didn't have one.
That's true. Oh, price wasn't an issue when it came to Saint. There was an issue with Zinni because he's being jailed and was made available later. Okay, that is very good context. Woohee says. All right, thank you for that. Well, that changes how I
Yeah,
think about Loki
so
then,
the
because I thought he was
Zinni
just a
stuff,
price thing.
yeah, I can't speak on the Saint stuff really until
Yeah.
it's out.
Okay,
Um,
we can move on to the retweet.
oh, I was actually answering, yeah, your the think up stuff. Um, I find it hard to believe when Tio and Fly both retain their rosters and like their full rosters and coaching staff. I think that's, in my opinion, that's more important than the players itself. Because normally winning formulas are often broken apart by like an important piece of the coaching staff just dips or they can't afford to keep them on.
Yeah, I look. I'm not saying I hate the Inero pickup. It's just the praise that was given to him seemed way out of proportion for what results wise, like when he was a coach, right? The last team he coached was this Immortals team who were looking up and up when he took over. He had nothing to do with the roster building. Like I'm not saying this was his fault, but again, they finished eighth. They couldn't win a single game. Their problem was mid to late game. Guess what Cloud Nine's problem is? Mid to late game. Like they were fine in the early game. They were getting leads. They were the second, like at times, the second best early game team. They were getting like 10K leads on Dignitas and then throwing. So like it kind of is a little bit strange that like what exactly is he meant to do? If he's meant to be more of a people person, because the last time he was a GM for Golden Guardians, so it wasn't even him that like was coaching that team. He was actually a GM of that team. So his coaching career isn't that stellar. So if you're bringing him as a GM or as someone who's like between GM and coaching and kind of like a liaison, maybe I would understand that. But as an assistant coach, I don't know if he's like the biggest, pickup of an NA team has done the best decision in the offseason. I just think it's a little bit exaggerated.
I think that one's like to be determined. Because like if C9 go on to win a split, or it's at least the third best team definitively, and then you're having that extra argument, why has NA only got 2 spots internationally? Like then I could maybe say, well, like it's kind of not unlucky, but like you have 2 teams that is better, right? Like you're competing with 2 other very good teams. I think he's gonna cut through a lot of the crap that I think the players were like putting on the team last split.
That's a good
I think
point.
like he definitely comes across as like a stronger authority figure who's fluent English, who probably understands the mind of an NA player more than Reaper, even though Reaper's been in North America for like forever. I think he's just going to be able to personalize these players more, I think. And I think this Reaper just needed some in-person help. I think I'm not saying just go out and grab anyone, but I think Inera is more of a long-term play than the short-term play. And
Okay.
as you said, like Inera is contracted to 2027,
Wow.
like after 2027 Worlds.
Yeah, that so the first thing I thought when I saw that quote retweet and what you said and what Chad is saying like actually does give a little bit more content. I was thinking more like gameplay stuff because they got rid of Mythy, who was like really really smart about the game, and then they picked up someone who isn't necessarily known to be very smart about the game. Um, but yeah, I think Blabber, Sven, Vulcan, like these personalities might need someone like an Arrow. I actually now you're kind of selling me on him a little bit more, being able to like split responsibilities with Reaper. Maybe Reaper can put a little bit more focus on like the generic what's going on with the Koreans, and then Inero can take care of the rest by himself. And then they have Vegar V2 for like the more in depth kind of stuff. So I guess yeah, I'm a little bit more sold. It's
It's
just
also on stage because I think now because I don't know how much High did. Like it's hard to actually value
he
like
was
what
supposed
did
to be the
High do on
babysitter,
stage.
right? That's what
Right,
they.
but he was meant to be a GM that was learning his trade as a like to be a coach, like which is one already impossible to do when we don't have an academy team. Where it would have been perfect for High to be like. Imagine the scenario where you had High, like at one point, like he is C9. Like you have High learning in academy, you're gearing him up, and then at one point, High takes the reins from Reboot as the head coach. Like
Uh,
his career's kind of come like full circle from he was the in-game coach to he is now the coach of C9. Um, but yeah, like I don't know what value he brought. Like I always thought, like he was on stage because he had to be. Because you have to fill 2 people, don't you?
I thought you could choose to pick only one.
I'm not too sure. but
Okay, maybe you
I think he
had
was
to
on
pick
stage
two.
because we had no one else. Like
Okay, yeah.
that
Well,
was the
here's
problem.
my thing. Here's my thing. The person retweeting this is more qualified to be picked up, in my opinion. I think ThinkGuard has proved himself time and time again that he is more like probably a better help to C9 than a pickup like an Arrow. I think Croissant is another person who's probably out of a job right now, who I would think they could probably work very well. It's just
Mm.
when I saw that tweet and I saw ThinkGuard like speaking so in such high regards for him, I was like, wait,
From my
I would have definitely picked you
understanding,
over him,
well,
like personally.
mm, like positive enough. Like from my understanding, a lot of coaches wanted to be on C9 as well. It wasn't like they were struggling to find someone.
Uh-huh.
I think there was like a queue out the door of people that want, like, obviously I it depends if Fincard wanted. I don't know if they offered him an assistant role. Like, if I don't know, I haven't like researched that at all. But if like he may not have wanted it because like he did go to MLBR in the end, right? MLBR was where he landed.
No, I thought wait, where is ThinkGuard?
I think it's MLBR, right?
I don't think so. I don't think they have a league team, dude. Was he on Red Candidates?
He's somewhere in the south.
He might be on Red Candidates. Wait, ThinkGuard. Foria,
Furia.
Foria, that's
There's it.
right. Yeah. Wait, no. Is it Foria, really?
Yeah, I just googled him.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's not MIBR. That they can't be both in North and South because that's pretty much Immortals. And, yeah. Um, question for you:
Hmm.
do you not think positional coaching might be useful for Cloud9? I don't know what their budget is, right? I thought
Uh,
initially they had a lower
where do
budget,
you
but
think additional coach? Like, because for top lane you already have Reaper, right? Mid, Vegas are more like all like well rounded, even though like he does specialize mid.
uh huh.
Uh, and it's more how much value is Sven gonna get out of a positional coach unless it's an insane like historical figure that can give him like a new perspective.
Well, honestly, the first person that comes to mind is just Soaz, right? You have a rookie in the top lane who's very good mechanically and might not understand
I
lane
asked C9
manipulation.
about this, and like they clarified they already have a top lane. Like Reaper is like the position, like not positional coach, but like he fills
He's
that
head coach
role.
and positional coach.
Well, like he's already a top laner, so he already can help like Thanatos in that way. That
Okay,
do you
that's
need a
fair.
second? Like, do you need Thanatos getting pulled by two like top lane coaches?
Or Reaper could just not worry about that stuff, worry more about like team macro and have someone else do it. But I can okay, I see where that comes from. I guess like I don't know where Soaz goes, but I'd be very disappointed if we don't have him. Yeah, Woohee says like the mid lane positional coach would be very useful. I think Vigar V2 could sort of do that, but the thing is he's remote and doesn't speak Korean. So like that's that's not the
It's not.
greatest
It's like
combination.
that's my only problem with Vega because I know on Blue Water he helped them tremendously. He worked with like every single player. Like from speaking to like people that's close to that organization, like he did help them a lot. It's just how much like you get value out of those players because they're willing to listen to someone that's coaching an LCS team, right? But as soon as you go to the tier one, how much are they going to listen to a remote coach? Like that's you don't have someone that's in the room that you can immediately talk to at any time of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're always a Discord away, but with the culture barrier and language difference, and there's a lot.
I think Loki is just going to be set up to play around Blower.
I think so too. I think Loki might not have his person like his own
My
way of
only fear is
playing.
that C9 will become one-dimensional next season.
Well, that's why like even Wuhi was like, "Oh, I wanted Rigby," or that's what I was saying. Like, I think that the changes are quite good for Cloud9 and play into their strengths, and so it's like a buff for their play style, and hopefully that will allow them to say, "Hey, we're really good at this one thing. Let's actually learn how to play the game more holistically, so we're not only playing this. Like, we can shore up our weaknesses, so we can keep playing early game, but not lose in the late game, and we're not as one dimensional and can be exploited like we were last year." I hope that happens. Dude, I didn't see any improvement from Cloud9 from the beginning of summer to the end of summer. Like, I just didn't, and I don't know how
I
you
think
do
they
that.
fell into the same patterns that a lot of Blabber teams have. Is they will start off strong in the meta, and the more they win, the worse their comps get. Like I've always felt this sense of like arrogance that not like a good arrogance. It's like the we're just gonna pick whatever we want against like immortals. When in reality you should be getting the reps in for. Look what TL did. Like when did you ever see them like goof off per se? Like they would pick like not like unconventional picks, but like they would add to the layers that they already have.
They had a
So like
purpose.
yeah, like the Mordekaiser for example, it is just plug and play.
And that's where an arrow comes in. Okay, now I'm seeing a little bit more logic behind the Cloud9 pickups.
Like I don't think their starts are the problem. It's can you keep this team in check later as the season goes?
We'll find out.
Yeah, and like, that is the legit thing because then we'd start playing like these niddly comps that you have to stomp in 20 minutes or the game becomes a problem. I
Yeah.
don't know. I want to be. It's hard because being a Blabber fan for so many years that you always just want to say not first as a given, but first as like the expectation, and you don't want to start getting to the point like where you see like you can't say that a team that has Blabber, Sven, and Vulcan
Oh,
like
Loki just
they're
got
not going to win.
announced.
Hmm?
Loki just got announced.
Why is there a video?
I don't know.
We could find.
Can you?
It's fine.
Are you allowed to play a video on the stream?
I mean, I could, but I don't know if the music is like copyrighted or whatnot.
Did it have music? I
Yeah, I played
unmuted.
just like a second of it, but yeah, I mean,
You could play the muted version, I guess, for like
I don't
just for
know.
lols. It's fine if you can't.
They announced the
Okay.
whole roster actually. Yeah, Thanatos, Loki, Blabber. I don't know why Loki comes before Blabber, but okay, Thanatos, Loki, Blabber, Sven,
Oh,
Vulcan.
a king returns and a new god. Oh, okay, that
Yeah,
makes
okay.
sense. The king being Sven. Okay. Okay, do you want to talk about the Saint thing quickly
Yeah, you can
before
now
we wrap up?
talk.
From like, I think it's pretty obvious that C9 chose Loki over like the options they had. Like, because I think a lot of teams are not even like. I'll just say C9 passed up, and I think C9 passed up on Saint. I think I don't like. I think there is a reason he's on Lion because
Interesting.
apparently, no, because apparently, like in remember the sheep report where they're saying a lot of teams are interested in Saint. Why is he not like? If you had the chance of playing like, on Fnatic or one of these other like LEC teams, why are you in the LLA's team for the LTA? Like, what happened there?
So I
Like,
heard
that's
budget, but like Uhi's saying that, Korean insiders say that Loki's actually a better fit for Blabber and Cena. Like, you're saying now that, they actually passed up on him. So I guess I'm not in the loop, so I didn't know this.
like it was one like a conversation I had with like C9, but I don't want to like say it in a tremendous amount. 'Cause,
Makes sense, yeah.
like it's just a bit unfair on them. But I will say that Loki was chosen for like there's positives they saw, and then that's why he's on the team. So like whether those reasons are like good, what I will say is that they've now picked a team that they absolutely want good work ethic. Like whether they like the team, like I'm
Okay.
not saying that like they didn't have it before, but it's now a requirement. Like this team, every single player has to work their ass off. Like and like you can see, like every single player has been absolutely grinding solo queue. And now I think they recently landed in Korea for like their
Oh, is that
the boot
why
camp.
Blabber and Vulcan stopped streaming? Okay.
Yeah,
They're in
because
Korea already, huh?
I wonder if we have a show match with Fearx again. That
I didn't see an announcement, but if there is a show match, I will reach out to them
well,
again.
we are playing in the Fearx facility again because that's where they normally host like a lot of the North American teams. Like, I know 100 Thieves. I think it was either NRG or Shopify played there last year as well.
Shopify went there and 100 Thieves went there as well.
Yeah.
So last split, I did message Cloud9, be like, "Hey, can I do an interview like after the show match?" I know it's like a fun little thing, and they never responded to me. So if they do another show match, I will reach out again, and hopefully, like, I don't know how it's a negative to you guys for your players to be on interviews and for people to see your new team. I don't know, but look, maybe the players are busy. All right, they got to scrim before the updates are even out.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where the line is as well. Like with you, I just think a lot of teams didn't fully trust Saint. I'm not saying that's why C9 didn't pick him up, but I'm saying like just know they have 100% trust in the player they've picked up. Now, whether he's any good, we have no idea. But
Okay. So Wuhi says that your media rep is on the line. His isn't. So then he said that Loki is more green than Saint, but he has a lot more potential, and his playstyle actually fits Blabber and C9 well. So I'm assuming he's more of like the Niski rather than the rookie or the hard carry. And then Saint is more tier one ready. So I'm assuming he's maybe a more well-rounded player, but it said some of his roadblocks are mental. So I'm assuming they just didn't want a repeat with what happened with Eminez. Maybe not as extreme, but he has 100%. He 100% has hands. So maybe they just didn't want anything to do with it the same. You don't have to respond to this, by the way. You already said like enough. That gave at least me an idea of why this could have happened. Because when it was reported, I was like, okay, something is very suspicious. The reportings of like Vigard not even hearing, like they didn't take Vigard's advice, is very suspicious, and that made me think that okay, he's leaving, and I was hoping that we would pick him up, but then they re-signed him. So then why wouldn't you take his reporting? And then they
I
picked
have
up
no
Loki.
idea. Was that a Sheep Esports report? For
That was what's that guy's name? The famous dude in Korea, who's friends
Kenzie,
with
right?
Revan. What's his name?
Is it Kenzie?
LS. Sorry, I just my mind blanked. Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was said on LS stream.
I think so. Like, why? I'm not gonna speak about like why, like they may have not gone for like Saint, but like I think just know that they picked Loki. It's not like they they just like stumbled into him, and like that's who they went with. So that's all I'll say. It's
All
they
right. I
they
mean,
definitely they definitely like this is the decision that they are like confident in.
that makes me more confident in Cloud9, and also it means that what Wuhi's saying is that the reason he's saying this because a lot of people are saying C9 couldn't afford the better player, which I had the impression, like I saw the rumor, I didn't know if it was true or not, but I heard like they wanted Saint, they could have had Saint or Loki, they picked Loki because maybe Saint was more expensive. Um, Same thing with Zenny, but apparently like there was a reason behind Saint and Zenny not being picked up and Loki being picked up. So that makes me a little bit more confident in their process. And the fact that they have more budget means hopefully we see more content. I'm really hoping for really good content from Cloud9. I think they're very well set up. I'm hoping that they can shine light with like charismatic personalities like an Arrow. A lot of people like watching an Arrow talk and whatnot. Like Blabber is a C9 favorite. I know I may or may not have stirred up some drama about him last year and it made it to the C9 subreddit, but I think that they have Sven and Vulcan as well. Like Sven is quite good on the camera. They have the pieces to like come out with really good content and fight for that like top spot with Team Liquid and FlyQuest. And hopefully they have the budget to do that. Also, we hope
Yeah.
get more content. We had almost zero content, and the content that came out was good. Like they had that Cloud9 thing with Meteos. It's just a lot of times it was like 2 weeks late or 3 weeks late, so like you don't even remember what they're talking about. But overall, I actually liked what they did.
I think it became to a point where the fans just they didn't want the like comms videos. Like how many times has teams done that now? Like it was something like I didn't have a problem with it. It was something different. Like it was something different to the norm of every year. We release a comms video and a highlights video.
Yeah, I'm hoping they do more like day-to-day fighting. Like I want to see something from Cloud9, even if it's like stream highlights on your channel. There's no reason you don't do that. Gen G does it and gets like a lot of viewership. They just take some funny stream clips from Lehens and Pays and Chovy and they put it into a video and like we get to learn more about their personalities and their experiences and some of the like inside jokes that they have and whatnot. I just think that there's a lot of opportunity for them to really utilize this.
Well, like not even to throw shade at C9, but that would require their players to stream during the season. Like we can't get the stream highlights if they don't actively like stream.
That's true, but
Like we only get Blabber and Vulcan streams during the off season, right?
did Sven not stream at all? No, Sven didn't stream at all. He streamed last offseason, but not this one. At least not yet.
And
The off season's long. It's still like another month, like 2 months. Yeah.
I didn't have a problem too much with the content because I think it
And
was
Loki's
like
streaming.
high
Sorry,
quality.
Thanatos is streaming a lot. Yeah.
Like I thought the like doc videos they did were pretty high quality as well. They're a lot longer. They weren't like TL level, but like I didn't mind too much because like I think the podcasts were pretty good. Like it was something to like listen to longer form than just Colin's videos.
Yeah, it's just not enough. Like here's my thing. Why don't you do that and have someone who's going around with
I
like you already have someone going around in LCS. Just have them take little clips of that doc before it's done,
yeah
or like before the game, after the game, ask them, okay, how do you guys feel? And just they did it with FlyQuest did this with Masu just one game. And like it did pretty well on Twitter. I'm surprised they didn't do it more, but they just asked him like, "Oh, how was your first game in LCS?" And he just gave his thoughts. Like, why don't you just do that every single day? Like, have a different player. One day, Blabber says like, "Oh yeah, this is like I had a really good gameplay." Like, it can be something short. It doesn't have to be a full fledged video.
yeah I agree.
But I'm hoping I have high expectations, high hopes from Cloud9, because I'm a Blabber stan. I will always like want more Blabber stuff. I was very frustrated in 2023 when C9 were like guaranteed top three like 3 weeks before they had to go. So we knew that they were going to go to New Jersey. New Jersey is like a couple hours away from Blabber's hometown. And I didn't see a single video, a single ad, a single tweet, anything to motivate people from our area to go watch Blabber. I know people who are just fans of Blabber because he's from our area and
Yeah,
you didn't activate any of them. There was no video with Bauer being like, "Yo, Maryland, what's up? I'm really excited to be playing close to my hometown. Come through. It's only a couple hour drive. I'd love to see you guys. Tell me you're from Maryland." Like anything, nothing. We saw nothing. And so I'm really hoping that going into 2025, they can revamp what they're doing. Because I thought that the content that they did make in 2024 was a step above their 2023 content. So I'm hoping they can get more consistent within 2025.
I think so too. Because like if you go and check out the Valorant stuff, quality is insane. Like all of it, and it also helps that all of their like a lot of their players stream, if not every single player is streaming daily.
I did not know that. C9 Valorant.
And like if you actually look at the social numbers their Valorant like where it gets compared to the league, it's insane. Like it's almost I think it's almost triple the amount of followers they have like from their league team.
Dang, bro.
So like their most recent tweet was the one like most recent announcement was they're doing like a mixed gender like tournament. I believe so. So like C9 and the Shopify Game Changers roster
Uh-huh.
are like combining to do like a mixed
Oh, that's
tournament.
cool.
And like that tweet has almost 6,000 likes.
Dang. I don't know. I'm looking at their Valorant page and like they don't post too often. Like their shorts, they had like two in the past 2 months. So
Their
like the thing is they
shorts,
have the
no, but
content. They have the content, they're
their
just not clipping it.
their Twitter as well, like they do a lot of Twitter, and they also have two co-streamers. So they have one North American and one Brazilian.
Oh wow. Okay, okay.
TCK
Last
absolutely pops.
topic.
Yeah, go on.
So FlyQuest have Basil. Team Liquid have Broxa, but like not really, right? I think FlyQuest is probably the only League of Legends org that actually utilize their content creator like Metamorphosis to bring fans to FlyQuest. I know they have like Anita. They have what's the name of the Lulu player? Um, I met her at 2023 summer finals. She was there. She's like the cosplayer, Emily, right? Like C9 have streamers, they just don't really like Medios, I guess is
They
their best example.
they they
Emilio,
utilize
oh,
them
okay.
during like actually during in-person events. Like they will always have all of their like they'll always have Sneaky Mios and Emily out for
Yeah.
these events.
But like throughout the year, I feel like Team Liquid really needs someone who can be a streamer and represent Team Liquid and try to bring people to become Team Liquid fans. Like if Team Liquid happened to sign, I don't know, who's like a big streamer in like Mrs. Chim Chim, for example, is a perfect example. She's already a Team Liquid fan. She loves the team. It would just make so much sense. And that way she could like co-stream the games.
So like
Go
so
ahead.
the things like with Mios is like he's like half in, half out, if that makes sense. So like so that the sneaky co-streams he does,
Uh-huh.
why can that just not be a Cloud9 co-stream?
Yeah, just get more
Like
people.
you have Sneaky who I believe still has some equity in like the org. Like you literally have I don't know what he's under, but he often appears for like the events, right?
Sneaky, yeah.
I believe is he still a streamer for C9? I'm not too
I
sure.
think he left a couple years ago, no?
I'll check.
Yeah, apparently C9 going into next year, their streams, like content creation team is on the up again. Yeah, so C9's not doesn't officially have Sneaky signed, but I think like he's just affiliated.
I Yeah, I wouldn't say too much, but I'm also excited for that. There's a couple of plans I think that will really like make us C9 fans really happy.
I hope so because I feel like Team Liquid,
But
FlyQuest,
I think
C9.
more broader scope than just like League. I think like I think the plans that are in place are they're fun. Or the ideas.
Hey man, I'm excited from what I'm hearing. I know that I've harped on C9 a lot, and it's just because I want to see them do better. To my boy Blabber, and just in general as a team, I actually really like Jack. So I, if there are plans, I'm excited for them. I think Shopify as well. Like I've had discussions with them of like, look, you need a like a co-streamer. It doesn't have to be like a eBuy level, like Komedo level, but I'm just hoping that you get big or not big, but like influential people to bring people to become Shopify fans. So I know that I've talked to Shopify about that. I'm hoping that they do something with that. And same thing with Cloud9. I'm hoping that they sign someone big.
Yeah, like I think last point, I wish they utilized Meteos more towards the C9 fans rather than like out. Probably sounds a bit silly, but like when he's only doing like the podcasts and technically, I guess he is representing C9 on the dive, which no other org has like representation technically. If you want to go down that route, but like I wish his co-streams were like specific to C9, because then you could say like how many LCS or LTA orgs have like a designated co-stream, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just like specifically when Cloud9 stream, you have it on the Cloud9 channel, and then maybe later on you
Yeah,
can raid
even
that channel
yeah,
to
like
your
literally,
channel.
even if you like just leave or like stop the video stream for the C9 game, go and stream on the C9 channel, and then start your stream again if you want to.
Yeah.
Like that's all I want is like to say we're doing something that other rules aren't doing, right?
I also think like if I had magic powers and I just like was involved in like contract writings and whatnot for my players on Shopify, I would make it so all the players have to stream, and then like a certain number of hours per week, and then a certain number of those out like every week a different player would be streaming on the Cloud9 or on the Shopify like Twitch and YouTube channels. Like they would
That's the thing.
actively be.
I saw it today. Like T1 actually have like a schedule. Of, here's when our players are streaming.
Oh yeah,
Like
they've had that for years
yeah,
now.
that's like
Cloud9,
I
Gen G, sorry, not Cloud9, T1, Gen G, Hanwha Live, BNK, like all these like Korean orgs just have mandatory streaming.
yeah.
So yeah, I would really like to see something like that. But anyways, that's not here nor then. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more news going into next Wednesday. Or I think we're gonna do this actually next week. We're doing it Thursday, but normally we're having it Wednesdays around this time. Uh, Anything you want to shout out? Anything? I know you have like your TikTok channel that's been popping off recently.
Yeah, I've got Marnie's thoughts on TikTok. Shout out to Woohoo for hanging out with us because it is cool having a like an actual chat to interact with rather than like just us shooting the shit.
Yeah,
Like it
nice to
is
meet
good
you,
to
Wolfie.
have
I
like
didn't know who you were, so it's nice to meet
it's
other
good to
C9
have
people.
like fans to interact with.
Yeah, and Don of Raven was here for a while too, so shout out to him, another C9 fan.
Shout out to Brad on YouTube because that's the first YouTube comment I
Yeah,
ever
you just
saw.
said hi. um, yeah, for myself, this podcast. Shout out to the podcast. I think the podcast is really cool. I will have a couple of other videos, hopefully, coming out by the end of this week. I'm hoping to get some interviews now that like teams are actually officially announcing the players. I'm hoping the players would do some interviews with me so I can talk to them about that kind of stuff. So, and maybe a couple of coaches. I'm gonna try to reach out to Enero, see if he'll talk with me, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to be able to do something with the Cloud9 um, once they do their thing, their like show match. If it happens, I would love to be able to interview them. I'm probably gonna have Shopify players are probably the easiest for me to get. So if I don't get any Shopify players, like man, that's gonna be so sad. But yeah, I'm hoping to get more actual like interviews with pros, coaches, like GMs and whatnot.
Yeah, next season's gonna be big.
I hope so. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.